Welcome to the Batesville High School Spotlight. I'm pleased to be joined by one of our guidance counselors, Mrs. Arika Burck. Arika, welcome. It's an exciting time of the school year as we look to May and all the year-end activities, but also the release of the student schedules for the 2023-2024 school year. Take us through the basics of what we can expect with scheduling.
The countdown begins to the end of the year. Schedules were distributed to school buildings, BMS in St. Louis Friday, so they'll start getting those today. And we are working through distributing student schedules with the freshmen first, starting today. They'll get a quick one-on-one meeting with one of the guidance counselors, and then they'll have their schedule in hand.
So for our current juniors, this schedule somewhat marks the beginning of their senior year. What questions should the class of 2024 begin asking to ensure their senior plans are solidified?
Do they have what they need in their schedule to graduate? Are they in a good spot? Do they get the classes that they wanted that they need and the classes that they wanted that they want? They make the most out of their senior year experience with their next steps, whether it's college, workforce, or enlistment.
Our current sophomores, for the first time, when they become juniors, will have the opportunity to take courses off the Batesville High School campus, and that's one of the hallmarks of our educational process here. What type of logistical changes and responsibilities does that entail?
That's an exciting question. As I've already started meeting with some of those sophomores this morning, they look at their schedule and they're, wow, I'm really off campus for 3 blocks in a row to go to mentorship and Ivy Tech. Making sure that the responsibility of getting to those places on time, that they are safe in their commute to and from, and they understand their schedule, that they do have to come back here if there's a class in between.
And some of those schedules will have some different times when people meet. So, for example, if I have a class at Ivy Tech, I may not start school until a couple weeks after the Batesville High School starts. And so we'll have meetings at the beginning of the year to talk through what those processes look like. Quickly talk about maybe some differences between what Ivy Tech does and what Batesville High School might do.
Right. So Ivy Tech, we will have a meeting with any student who has an off-campus Ivy Tech class the first couple days of school. That way, that delay in time when Ivy Tech classes start versus when we start, the kids will know where to go, where they're expected to be, and when those classes start and when they end, because they end earlier too.
Similar to the Career Center, sometimes our schedules align and sometimes they don't. So the rolling start that begins our school year will be vital for students to understand when all of their educational opportunities occur, when they start, when they're expected to meet, how to get there, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Our current freshmen become sophomore and at the same time can feel a little bit lost in the high school experience. What is at stake for our sophomores with regard to the overall high school planning process?
I think the key point for sophomores is to make sure that they're getting those core credits finished, focusing on their English, their math, and their science. Get those things out of the way. That way they can have these exciting opportunities available to them junior and senior year.
And you talked about the keyword excitement there for the juniors and seniors. It's important to remember those kids are sophomores now, and they're available to them because they're on track academically. Talk a little bit about what it means to be on track academically.
Is completing your core classes. So having your English, your math, science, social studies, and PE completed by the time you go into junior year that are required of you, your freshmen, to those core classes as you end your sophomore year. It's really kind of like your last chance to kind of get everything going so you can have those opportunities junior and senior year.
And with those opportunities come choice. We want all our students to have as many choices as possible so that they can better define the end of their junior and senior year.
Right, definitely.
As a current BHS parent, what questions should I be asking now that I know that my student has their tentative schedule for 23-24?
Does the schedule make the most out of the opportunities that Batesville High School has to offer? Am I just taking a schedule that gets me by, or I'm taking advantage of everything that suits my students' interest plus what we have to offer?
Somewhat similar to our juniors who are beginning their senior year experience, our 8th graders either at Batesville Middle School, St. Louis, now have their first schedule for the high school experience. Take us through the process of that schedule release and what to expect as maybe a first-time parent who has a student coming to Batesville Middle School, or maybe it's been a while and now I'm going through the high school process again.
Sure. So those students' schedules have been reviewed by the counselors a couple times, and Mrs. Price or Kateri Paul at St. Louis will be passing out those schedules today. Any schedule questions can always be sent to us about those, even though they're not in our building yet. We encourage the questions from the students or the parents. It is an overwhelming experience for the first time to see a schedule that actually has credits, attain it to it, and you're leading to graduation. So just if you're unsure of what is in the schedule, if it's accurate or not, just make sure that you're communicating with us. But the core 40 diploma requirements are outlined in every student's schedule, and then if your student plans to achieve a higher diploma type goal, then we've outlined those in their schedule if they've indicated back in February.
For the longest time on your whiteboard, the phrase "begin with the end in mind" has been prominently displayed, and we know that plans are made, plans change, plans are made again, plans change. What changes, though, are possible in the student schedule between now, when I have my tentative schedule in hand, and the end of the school year?
Between now and the end of the school year, May 25th, we're much more flexible with what can be changed prior to May 26th, after May 26th. So between now and May 25th, we're pretty open to what can be changed. Not a lot of defined schedule policies that are implemented, so if it's reasonable with the student and the parents, that's the one thing that we request, is that now that it's written in stone, so to speak, any changes do have to have parent permission.
Okay, and so if I'm correct in saying this, every student schedule has to be returned to Batesville High School with the parent signature, correct?
Correct. Middle school students' schedules due by May 5th and high school May 12th.
Sometimes our parents have more questions than our students, or may want to ask more questions than our students. To whom should those questions be addressed, and how is the most efficient manner to communicate either with you or Mrs. Steinkamp, one of our other Batesville High School counselors?
Yeah, so all scheduling questions should come to me or Mrs. Steinkamp in relation to next year's scheduling. Canvas is convenient if you have that on your phone. Mm-hmm. If it's not, you can always email. You're going to get a quicker response than a phone call, but phone call is fine too. If some questions just are better to be talked through.
Well, it's an exciting time as we end this school year and we begin next school year. It's a tremendous undertaking on the part not only of yourself and Mrs. Steinkamp, but also Mrs. Price and Kateri Paul at St. Louis. It's a true community effort trying to help the transition from our current 8th graders as they become freshmen, but also make sure that our current students have everything needed to set up. So thank you for your work with that. It's an exciting time at Batesville High School. We look forward to the questions, not only with the schedule to finish up this year, but also looking ahead to next year.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been Arika Burck, one of our Batesville High School guidance counselors, looking forward to the 2023-2024 school year with a release of tentative student schedules this week. Part of the BHS Spotlight moving forward will be highlighting events that mark the end of the school year. First, congratulations to the Batesville High School academic teams coached by Katie Tincher and Judd Klingerman as they move on to the Indiana Academic Super Bowl hosted on May the 6th at Purdue University. The 3 teams advancing are the Fine Arts team, the Social Studies team, and an interdisciplinary team. Best of luck to those competing on May 6th at Purdue, and we look forward to the continued success of the academic team. On the individual front, we had 3 individuals we want to recognize for different accomplishments. First, Madison Ruschulte, recipient of the Flying Pig Scholar Program. This is an award marking the 25th anniversary of the Flying Pig held in Cincinnati, and Madison was recognized for her accomplishments as she completed a 5K in all 92 counties throughout Indiana as part of her application. Madison was the only recipient from Indiana, and we look forward to the continued support of this program. Also, Ella Dieterlin was recognized by the Indiana Association of School Principals as an Indiana Academic Regional All-Star. Ella was able to invite her most influential educator, Mr. Cox, and was also represented by her parents at a reception held at the Indiana Roof Ballroom, again by the Indiana Association of School Principals. We're also pleased to have Carter Weir and Jaden Smith participate in the Innovate Within competition on Friday, April the 21st, as they pitched their product in a regional competition in an entrepreneurial spirit, looking to move forward with the Innovate Within program. And finally, an exciting week for Batesville High School juniors and seniors as prom is Saturday, April the 29th. A couple weeks ago, we talked to Angela Diaz and Ella Walters about all the logistics for prom moving back to Batesville High School, including how our community members can watch our students walk in and enjoy the event. Let's look back at some of the key logistics as highlighted by Angela and Ella. All of the logistics have changed. I'm old enough to remember when the prom was actually in the main gym many years ago before moving to the old gym. So we're going to have it in the field house, Ella. And so that means every logistics part of this has changed. Let's start with the very first step. I'm a prom goer. Where do I park and how do I get into Batesville High School?
So like Angela said, we're doing valet parking. Mm-hmm. So if you can choose not to do that or choose to. So if you choose to, you can drive up to the front and enter door A. Mm-hmm. And if you choose not to, you can park in the back and walk around to the front and enter through door A as well. And then you'll walk through the main gym. Mm-hmm. And then you'll walk to the auditorium where Mr. Pearson will introduce you. And then you'll go up to the auction and go to prom.
Wonderful. So we'll still have part of the prom experience, Angela, where our public's able to see the kids dressed up and to see them walk through. Take us through that, right? So Ella mentioned that we're going to enter door A, go through the gym, and go through the auditorium. Take us through that experience.
So if you are the public, though, you're going to enter through the auditorium doors. So
Okay.
it is a different entrance. And then that will be open for 7 for people to come through. And then you just head straight into the auditorium, and then you wait for them to start announcing at around 7:40.
Okay. And so, Ella, then where should I park? I'm a community member. I love this part of this. You talked about the valet parking in the front, led by the Kiwanis, and then some of our prom goers in the back. So let's just say I just want to come watch the walk through a prom. Where should I park? And then, again, how do I get access to Batesville High School?
So you're going to park either at the BPS or you can park in the back as well. And you'll enter door N and C.
Okay, so we can enter door in, or we can enter in even door Z in the front, depending upon where I park. If I'm part of the public, then I can to come watch the prom. But all of that will happen in the auditorium. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so we were able to get Mr. Pearson back, and he's going to be able to MC the event and add some of his own commentary along the way. Wonderful. So, Angela, we talked about this move back to Batesville High School with prom. What are the times for prom? So even from when I can get here as a prom goer, maybe when I want to get here as an attendee, and then also the schedule of events of prom night itself.
Okay. So, like I said before, if you are the public, you can start coming at 7. But for the actual students, the doors do not open until 7:30.
Okay.
So prom starts at 7:30. It'll last 3 hours roughly, ending at 10:30, and then the walkthrough in the auditorium will begin at 7:40.
Okay.
And then after prom is directly after until 1.